Nick speaking, and welcome to this live stream. Hello, once again, I am here ready to do some more hobby and have a little chat as maybe we hobby together if you can join me. So let me just get onto the right view. Okay, so a bit early today, but that's because later today the snooker is on the television, and I want to watch that. So I'll probably continue to hobby and watch the snooker. But yeah, I thought it'd be pretty good to go live today to help motivate me to get some hobby done. Hopefully, whoever is watching can hear me. The sound is okay. Let me know if that is the case. So I've been quite busy since the last time I streamed with these two Ghost Arks that I'm building. So in this pot here I have the guns, which I've now finished. So I've glued the front section on, scraped all the mould lines off, and I've scraped the mould lines off of these. I'm going to be magnetising, of course, that's why I'm not gluing anything together too heavily at the moment. I've also taken all these pieces off of the sprue. This is the next thing which I'm going to clean the mould lines off. That's what I'm going to work on today. And then all I'll have left is what is in this pot. So these are the sprues which are now cut up with the final pieces on them. So that's all I've got left to do after I've done all of these. So that is my plan. If anyone could confirm with the comments that you can see and hear me okay, that would be much appreciated. Right, so yeah, last week was my birthday on Saturday, and had a fantastic game with Richard with my 3rd edition Necrons. We had a lot of fun, and of course I've got the battle reports coming up. I've got a video later today at 2:30 about the actual list that I took, and on Friday will be the battle report. So it's a full-on 3rd edition week for you guys. Who cares about 10th edition? We care about 3rd edition. So yeah, slight confusion maybe with some people thinking I'm actually playing like the 3rd edition codex rules. I'm not. I'm just making a list based around the units that you could take in 3rd edition, then adapting them. Now originally the idea was to adapt them to play some games of 9th edition. However, we ended up playing a 4th edition mission. Again, yes it is again, Jar. Cheating live stream again. Good morning, hopefully you can hear me okay. Coming through clear, thank you, Neil. Thanks very much. So yeah, we ended up playing a 4th edition mission, my most favourite mission of all time. I've had so much fun with it. That was the rescue mission, and judging from what happens next after that game, I think Richard enjoyed himself as well, because he's proposed to play exactly the same thing again. So the same mission, my 3rd edition Necrons, but he's going to play a more fluffy Orc list, a Bad Moons list against it. So for reference, the Saturday game he played Space Wolves. So yeah, we're going to do that this Friday, and the battle reports will probably be up in a few weeks after that. I have Connor. Hello Connor, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning, just joined. What are you making, Nick? I am making 2 Ghost Arks stroke Doomsday Arks. I'm going to be magnetising these. That is my current project. So tired, got to go to work now. Have a good stream. Thank you, Connor. I know, well, we've had a clocks change here, and it's been hard work getting used to the new times. Right, let me get some hobby done. It's boring stuff. No! It's boring stuff, unfortunately. It is scraping mould lines off. Let's make sure I haven't lost any of these. There should be 20. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 5, 6. No way. count them up again. Did I count those two? Don't think so. Start again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. One more. One more. Ah, there we go. 10. Right, now you know why I keep everything in pots usually. So once I've scraped it off, I put it into a pot. Right, let's start again. Well, then I complain a bit, and then I have to keep working. Yeah, well, that's the trouble, isn't it? Morning, AvJ mod. Where should we start? I suppose we'll start with this pile. We'll start with this pile. So yes, been quite hard hitting this clocks change this time. I think it was because I had Sunday I had stock take at work, and we started at 8 o'clock, which was effectively 7 o'clock, and then I got up at my normal time. I normally get up at 6:30, which obviously was 5:30, and then yeah, fairly stressful day with the stock take. And then the day before, as I said, was my birthday, so we went out for a meal, etc. So yeah, I was quite tired. Just about catching up with that. So I thought I would have a chat maybe about 4th edition, Jackpot Nick. Because it is one of my most favourite editions. I'm trying to analyse why. There's quite a few reasons really. I think the first one, and probably the main one, is when I played 3rd and 4th edition, I didn't really know anything about the competitive scene. You know, I didn't realise there was 40k tournaments and stuff. I didn't realise that until about 5th edition, and of course back then the internet was well, it wasn't like it was today, let's put it that way. So I wasn't really on the internet much until 5th edition, and then when I got my new army, I bought an Eldar army unintentionally. I was walking home from work one day, walked past a charity shop, and there were some miniatures in there, a box of Guardians and a Farseer, unopened, really cheap, so I bought them and I started an Eldar army from there. However, the Eldar had a massive learning curve, so I was really struggling to play them. Thus I started looking on the internet on how to play them, found YouTube and a few channels like Fritz 40k, and I can't remember his name now, he's not around anymore. There's a massive Eldar channel, I think it's the I can't remember the name now, but anyway, and that's when I discovered the more competitive scene, and well, let's face it, more tactics on how to play the game, and you know, how to win effectively. Before that, in 4th edition, I didn't play 40k for that at all. It was totally different. 4th was when I got my start with 40k, Lord of the Rings, a bit earlier. Hello everyone, hello Lee Mick, not Lee Mac, wish it was. Hope I will have some time today to work on a few minis, getting ready for a team tournament next month. Cool. So yeah, before I found all of that, it was more about just having fun. I'm not saying that playing more competitively isn't fun. It is fun, but a different type of fun. And 4th edition was perfect for how I used to play. So you had your standard missions in there, of course. We had some sort of cool rules. It wasn't a balanced, even game by any stretch of the imagination. But you had things like night fight. You rolled a dice, and like turn 1 was night fight, or turn 5 was night fight. You know, things that really did change the game. You used to have different like planet traits. You didn't have to use these, but if you wanted to, and we often did, you had different gravity on the table. Either way, you sort of move twice the distance or half the distance of what you would normally move. So that was fun to play. It was like just a fun edition. And not only that, in the back of the book, they had different scenarios. There's quite a few different missions in there, and then also them were based around attacker defender, and obviously they brought those rules into like the dice rolled off almost. But back in the days, it was mission parameters. One person was the attacker, one was the defender, and you had different force organisation charts for each mission. So if you were the defender, for example, you might have to take like compulsory, like a HQ and 3 heavy supports. But if you were the attacker, you might take your compulsory might be HQ and like 3 fast attack. I can't remember the ins and outs of those detachments. It was around that sort of basis. And then the missions were arguably one-sided in some cases, but they were just very thematic, you know, really fun to play. And we had different rules, like sentry rules. You had sentry rules where effectively if sentries was part of the game, it was you had, like, for example, Necron sentries were quite low because of how we were. I think we had 4 sentries, where say Space Marines might have had 6 sentries. Got my first start in 40k with the first Necron Codex. Not Striking Scorpion, it wasn't. You're talking about the Eldar channel, right? I think it was Eldar. I always say Crossants. It's not Crossants. The sub-faction of them. I can't remember what they're called. Cursels, something like that. I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments. So yeah, I mean, one of the missions that we played, we had fun with it. It was ridiculous, the game that we played. As I said, it had these sentries in. So the idea was that if you had sentries in your army on your side, you would deploy these on the table, these single miniatures, and you weren't activated, your army wasn't activated until your sentries spotted something. And you were spotted either when your opponent shot you, so they could choose to shoot you, and then your army would wake up, or if they moved a certain distance to you. Now you had the opportunity to move your sentries, and they moved different amount of inches, like either 3 inches or 5 inches, you know, dependent. So in your turn you just moved your sentries, and your opponent moved the whole army. So we played this one game, and the object of the game was basically to have an objective in the middle of the board, and you had to go in and basically explode this objective up. And the defender had sentries. So I was playing my Necrons, of course, and my buddy was playing his Blood Angels. He had his sentries, and he made a fatal mistake on deployment because he left an opening to this objective, thinking that he would be activated, but he wasn't. I managed to get my whole army all the way to the objective without being detected, and I exploded the objective without my opponent even doing anything. We had a laugh. So we set up the table and had another game, exactly the same game. But this time my opponent put his models right the way around the objective, so it was impossible for me to get to it without activating him. Thematic cinematic play has slowly gone away for making it more balanced, even. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously they've got Crusade, and I haven't played Crusade, so I can't really judge Crusade and what it's like. But I think that's the closest that we've got now, isn't it? And I totally understand why they've gone down that balance route. But yeah, for me, that was the most fun time because you were playing together. You're playing the game together. It wasn't about playing against each other. I mean, you were obviously, but it was like the end result was just to have a fun game. Doesn't matter if it was one-sided. You knew it was going to be a one-sided mission right at the beginning. It didn't matter. It was about putting your models down, setting up a thematic game, rolling some dice, having some fun, and seeing if you could, overturn the odds and maybe win when the odds are against you. The 5th edition came along and the game changed totally. We only had 3 missions in 5th edition. There were, I believe, if I remember rightly, there were 3 missions, but you had different variants of them, like basic, medium, and advanced, if I remember rightly. So you had a dumbed down version, a medium version. The advanced one had all the extra advanced rules on there. So a very different game, and it was a game that the 3 missions were basically kill points. So it's just 1 victory point for each unit that you killed. And then we had a mission where you had, I think it was a random amount of objectives, so either 3, 4 or 5. That was one mission. And then the other mission was effectively you had to get on your opponent's objective. And that one pretty much always ended in a draw. Because it's not like the game today where you orcs just go out and turn 2 you're dead. It wasn't like that. I mean, by turn it was a very cagey game. You could reserve your whole army if you wanted to. So turn 1 and 2 wasn't about getting into your opponent's face and just killing everything. It was very tactical. It was about moving. It's almost like chess. You moved into position, got ready to attack. Your first 1 or 2 turns, not too much happened apart from some long range shooting, and then the game really heated up turn 3 onwards, and it was 6 turns back then. So it was very rare that you sort of obliterated your army, and usually sort of the hold your home objective games, both opponents held their own objective. Usually that was a draw. So it came a little bit predictable, I would say, 5th edition. Vehicles were very powerful in those days as well, so a lot of armies were all vehicle based. You had the parking lot, Space Marines was all about rhinos and razorbacks and stuff. Very different game, and I can see as they moved forward why they introduced things like secondary objectives to stop that very consistent drawing of the game. It's very rare you draw in the game these days, very rare. It's a shame. I love narrative play. We used to homebrew rules for stronghold assaults. Attacker would fully respawn, or the defender would hold out as long as they could. Yeah, it was definitely different times, that's for sure. It's also building terrain for some of those missions as well. There was another really cool mission we had, I think it was called Breakouts, was one opponent deployed in it was hammer and anvil deployment. So one opponent deployed in the middle. They had the whole army in the middle. It was if I remember rightly, 6 inches across and 2 foot down from the middle on one side. And the idea was you had to get your units off of the table edge on the other side of the tables, and then your opponent had hidden units. So it was called ambush. I think it was called ambush. So he would put down objective markers with numbers on and write down which units were hidden where on the sides of the board. That was another fun mission as well to play. It was great because you set up to play a fun game. You didn't set up to obliterate your opponent, which tends to be more what today's game is about. Now obviously 10th edition is coming. From the sounds of it, from what I can tell, obviously they're trying to simplify stuff. And have you noticed that's what they're talking about more, is like simplified but not simple. But from what I can gather, the game itself I don't think's changing that much. I think this is more about making the actual rules a bit clearer and easier and so less bloated, let's say, with the universal special rules coming back. So Deep Strike is actually going to be Deep Strike again, not 100 different names for the same thing. But the actual gameplay, I've got a feeling, is going to be quite similar. Now obviously they have said about a few changes. So vehicles are going to get higher toughness now. So we're going to go up to, I think he said toughness 12, if I remember rightly. I mean, we used to have armour value, didn't we, in the old days? So Land Raiders were like armour value 14. So I'm wondering if potentially, because each edition tends to be focused on certain things. So 3rd edition, 4th edition was a melee game. It was mainly about melee, some sort of shooting as well, I suppose. So third and 4th edition was mainly a melee game. And then 5th edition came and it was about vehicles, primarily. You know, the vehicle meta is what everyone was like taking. And then 6th and 7th edition were more about shooting. It was a shooting game. Then 8th and 9th has been more about melee again. I mean, in particular 9th. I mean, 9th is like almost 100% a melee game. Now I'm wondering if this extra toughness to vehicles and making it more harder to kill vehicles, if the meta is going to go vehicle heavy. So we might go back to sort of almost 5th edition where it's all about vehicles, potentially. And it's hard to say, isn't it? But that's sort of what I'm thinking at this stage. 6th edition was I mean, if I remember rightly, that was a massive change to 5th edition. The 6th edition only lasted 2 years, and then 7th edition came out, basically correcting a lot of what the problems of 6th edition. 7th edition was really like a 6.5, 6.5. It was basically 6th edition just made better. So yeah, 4 years used to be the turnaround time. Apart from that 6th to 7th, that was a 2-year turnaround time. And of course now it seems like 3 years has become the norm. And of course each edition is the ultimate edition, the edition you've ever dreamed of, the best edition ever. It doesn't get any better. Well, until the next edition. 10th is about groundbreaking profits. Quite possibly. 3rd edition was a simplification from the 2nd edition rules to make the game far more accessible. Okay, well, yeah, I never played 2nd edition, of course, so no idea how that played. Well, that's interesting. Regardless of how simplified 10th is going to be, or how easy it is rule wise, and the less bookkeeping it is, etc., etc. You know that it's going to change over time. Obviously, as the new codices come out, we're going to get the codex creep again, etc., and rules everywhere. It's inevitable. We know it will happen. I'm sure GW could make the perfect game, but why would they? Because they need to reinvent it all the time for more sales. So that's the way it is. You've got to be committed to the 40k ride, the train ride that it is, and just accept it for what it is and just have some fun. Now obviously Tyranids are going to be the new box set thing. Still haven't decided what to do about Tyranids from my personal point of view, because obviously I do have that Tyranid army. I might just... The thing is now, the rules are going to be all free, right? So I can get the Tyranid rules for free. And one of the big things that stopped me previously, and only happened because Richard very kindly basically said he'll go halves on it, is the outlay expense, of playing an army occasionally. So as you know, in 9th edition, I've occasionally played my Eldar, my Tyranids, excuse me, my Dark Eldar, and we've only played a few games. And to do that, I've had to buy the codex, and whilst I don't have to, I did buy the data cards as well, because it's just easier to play. Excuse me. It's just easier to play when you've got those cards. So Richard and I, between us, bought the Dark Eldar Codex, the Craft World Codex, the Tyranid Codex, and we've only played a few games. But going forward, if those rules are available just for us to download, then that sounds more sensible, doesn't it? Because we have the rules at hand for free, so potentially we can play a few games without it actually costing us a fortune to do so. Hey Nick, how many Ghost Arks are you up to now? Well, I have 2, so this will be my second 2, and I don't plan to probably do any more, to be fair, mainly because of storage space. So yeah, just 4, which will give me the option of obviously 3 Doomsday Arks, or a mixture of like 2 and 2, 2 Doomsday Arks, 2 Ghost Arks, or just all Ghost Arks. That's the beauty of having them magnetised. And obviously I say I'm not going to buy any more. Never say never. And to be fair, these 2 here were donated to the channel quite some time ago. I've only just got around to doing them by Martin AD. So Martin, thank you very much. I am at long last building them. Four Ghost Arks should do it. I think so. I think it's a reasonable amount. I mean, unless you're going very thematic with an army where you're basically just having a whole army of Ghost Arks and Doomsday Arks, then I think 4 is going to be enough for most lists that I'm going to want to take. And it will also give me an opportunity to play maybe an all quantum shielding army. I've currently got 2 annihilation barges, but I've got another 2 to do, again donated to the channel, so I'll have potentially a command barge, 3 annihilation barges. I'll have either like 2 Ghost Arks, 2 Doomsday Arks. Mr. Fisher, thank you so much. Hey Nick, Randy here. 6 Locust destroyers using. Right, that's the fire alarm tests. Using disintegration capacitors does crazy damage. Throw in extermination protocols if you want to get really gross. I've tried that gun, but only one of them. A whole unit of them, I think, as you say, could give you a lot of shots, couldn't it? I might try that. Yeah, I might try that, Randy. It's alright, it only goes on for a couple of minutes. We get weekly fire alarm test. Usually I'm recording a video on Wednesday. And usually the alarm goes off right the way through a crucial thing that I'm trying to say. I'll just wait for the alarm to finish, I think, before I talk. I don't know what the sound's like, how much you can hear it. Auto wounding on 6s to hit. Could be quite good against the Orcs, couldn't it? Two minutes, I believe, is usually the test. So I just got here. I do wonder what 10th will change for quantum shielding. Yeah, obviously we've seen a few renditions of quantum shielding. It's pretty decent these days, the shielding. I think it does depend on what the other guns are in the game, because our shielding was adapted this edition to the change of the guns and how they worked, so I'd imagine it'll do the same this time. I'm afraid of 10th edition. I don't think it's anything to be afraid of, because I think it's going to be quite good, to be fair. I've never had an edition which I've started playing and thought, oh, this is terrible. Never. You know, it's good to have something different and fresh, and maybe to open up units you wouldn't often use in a particular edition. All of a sudden, it's like, no, now I'm using these. Or even units that you feel you have to use in one edition, to then not have to use them in the next one. Hello Kevin, the Hobby Corner. Who burned the toast? It is our weekly fire alarm check, which is finished, thank God. So yeah, if you want to lie in on a Wednesday, then don't bother. I remember my old house we used to have the bin man collect the bins once a week on my day off. So every single week that it was my day off, the bin man woke me up. Hated that. First meeting of the day, I'll catch back up with the stream. Thank you, enjoy the meeting. Living metal, easy to say for you, you're going to hell anyway. Yes, no, I think it'll be exciting. Obviously, I think I feel a bit more relaxed this time about 10th, because we're not on the hype train as such. Like last time, obviously Necrons were in the core box sets, and every other post was about Necrons on the community tab, and obviously I was, with the YouTube channel making like videos, a lot of videos. this time I could like almost just sit back and chill about it. So I'm sort of quite enjoying that. And obviously at some point we will get some Necron rules and I'll be making videos, of course. And then at some point we're going to get our actual Necron Codex. You know, so it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a fun journey, I think. Games Workshop are getting better at listening. I think they are. I've got to do that at work every week too. A night are to manage when half the care home residents are wandering around and you don't want the fire dorm slamming onto them. Second had load of modifiers to dice rolls, like how far did it target move? Did it pass behind cover? Okay, yeah, that reminds me, because I play Man of War, which is the fantasy game but on boats, very old edition one, and they had a similar thing. It was quite a few templates and things, and you used to have a measuring stick, like about this long, and that was your gun range, and you used to put it down, and you had like short range, medium range and close range. If you were close range you got +1 to hit, medium was normal, long range was -1 to hit. You know, that type of thing. So probably I'd imagine that some of the early editions were similar to that. You know, stuff that worked back then. But like you say, if you want to simplify stuff and make it as easy as possible, probably doesn't work so much now. In a game, it's a shame in a way, but good in a way, I suppose. It's a bit like templates going. I mean, it probably is a very good thing for the game, but also it's a shame as well. Hopefully 10th keeps the Necrons with the AP like old. Man of War was great. I really do like Man of War. I don't have any Man of War, don't own any ships or anything, but my buddy is really into it. He plays it for years, and he has, I think, all of the fleets apart from one fleet. So yeah, I usually borrow his stuff. I usually play the Dark Eldar. Yeah, I think he gave me that. Not well, I say Dark Eldar, Dark Elves. He gave me that fleet to play the first time I played because he thought it was an easy one to play, and I really liked how the mechanics and how it works, and the fact that they're quite a Xenos type army. They're basically like the boats. They're like monsters more than boats, I think. So yeah, I generally play those. But I have played some of the other armies as well. I belong to a Facebook group, a Man of War Facebook group. There's a lot of people playing it still, you know, and doing like their own fleets, like 3D printed fleets, which just look really awesome. Because the actual Man of War stuff is quite expensive to buy, you know, unless you're in the right place at the right time. Obviously, I'm talking about second hand, not new, but yeah, like on eBay and stuff. It's a bit like the Battlefleet Gothic stuff. It's quite expensive. I did see and regret not buying, but I wasn't in a financial position at the time. A huge, I mean, when I say huge, I mean huge. A massive Necron Battlefleet Gothic army. Had loads and loads of ships, and it was £300. Buy it now. I was so tempted. It was a bargain because of the amount of ships that they were, and some of those ships go for a lot of money. I just wasn't in the financial position to buy it, but I do regret that. Hey, just popped in for a sec. It's late here and almost time to go to bed. But I've talked to you in the comments and saw you are live, so came checked you out. Thank you, Massive Gaming Army. Appreciate that. Kevin says, I'm looking forward to our meet-up as everyone will be on the same level in regards to rule sets and simplicity of them. I was dreading having to buy several books and do extensive homework. Yeah, it's going to be good to have the new edition at the tournament, which obviously in August. So this new edition is going to come out, what, June, July? So we'll have like a month, let's say, probably to get used to the rules. Yeah, I did like half consider doing the combat patrol, because that would be really simple and it would mean nobody would even have to think about what army to bring. You just brought your combat patrol box. However, it would mean that if we had like 3-4 Necron players at the event, like every Necron army is going to be the same, and I thought that was the downside of that idea. How many have I done? 3, is that it? Dwarfs and the metal sealed ships and Empire with the wolf ship, huge cannon, were my jam with the man of war. Yeah, he actually, my buddy likes to play Empire more than the other armies. He had like a massive gaming group at the time, and basically he keeps all the fleets, but he just doesn't like play with any of those guys now. But yeah, he had like one guy had Eldar and Chaos. I think there was another one that had dwarfs, and I'm not sure, was there orcs? I can't remember that one. I've still got a battle fleet for Crons, but only guy with the fleet in my club. Everyone sold them off and Games Workshop dropped it. Hello, how are you doing? I will not pretend to pronounce your name. But yeah, nice to see you here. Obviously I see all your comments. I have to Google translate them to reply, but I do my best to reply. Hopefully my replies are all okay. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? If you haven't got anyone else to play, I've got a Battle Fleet Gothic. I've actually got 2, but what I've done is I've painted them to be 1. So I've got 2 Eldar fleets, and I've just painted them in my Eldar colour scheme to make one massive army. My son had a few Space Marine ships that he was given, and so I have attempted to play a couple of games, but only very small basic games with the basic rules. But yeah, I have no one to play, so they're just in a box. I really love having them, but it's a shame, you know, I can't play them. Especially as I took ages to paint them in my purple and white colour scheme. What sort of things would you like to see in 10th for the Necrons? What would you like to keep, lose from 9th edition to 10th? I think I would definitely like to see RP improved and make Necrons what they're supposed to be, hard to kill, because Necrons don't feel like Necrons at the moment. So that's one of the key things. I mean, obviously we've got the usual, like, get rid of the random damage and random shot thing, but it's all going to depend on, you know, what the game's going to be like, how the rules are. I mean, it sounds like they're going to be quite similar, so I don't think the actual mechanics are changing too much, and things like, you know, lots of wounds and lots of damage, guns. Seems like AP is not going to be such a big thing. Because obviously before we had all of the damage, you know, that guns could do, we didn't have as many wounds, you know, so it depends on how the game is set, really, for those changes. I'd like to see the Reanimator get some love in terms of their rules, because it's a pretty cool miniature. Whilst it's not unplayable, it clearly obviously isn't the best. It wouldn't need much. It wouldn't need much of a rule. You know, even if it could do its ability without needing line of sight or something, you know, very something basic, just to tweak it, just to make it playable. I'd like to see the Hexmark Destroyer actually become an assassin. You know, basically that's what he is, isn't he? He's a Necron assassin. But unless you're playing against a low toughness army, he's pretty useless. The Cold to the Cryptic relic was quite good as an option, so hopefully maybe he'll get that. I tend not to like wishful think too much or hope for too much, because it's not really good for you. You know, just wait, find out what the rules are, and then devise my plans then. Hey Nick, I've been collecting Necrons for 15 years but never played. Looking forward to my first learn to play session Thursday. Awesome! 15 years, that's a long time to not play, but I do know others that are in the same position to you, that never played a game but just like love building, painting and collecting. I would like a smaller amount of army-wide rules that are more meaningful. Well, that's exactly what supposedly we're getting. We're getting just 2 pages of rules, aren't we? So they've got to be good rules. Yeah. I'm interested to see how just 2 pages of rules going to work with dynasty interactions. Will there be as many dynasties? I miss the old will be back, followed by the Resorb, followed by the chance of bringing them back again through the monolith. Such simple times. Yeah, you've got to love those old rules. And whilst obviously we were really survivable with those Resorbs and the 4+ will be back and stuff, obviously at the same time we had that phase out rule, so we were survivable, but if your opponent killed 75% the army just disappeared. So it was like Devil and Deep Blue Sea, that sort of scenario. I remember the old days. Ah, the old days. Gotta love the old days. Wraiths, 3+ invulnerable save. Oh, the amount of times somebody shot at my Wraiths and I just rolled the dice. Saved, saved. It was a last cannon. 3+ invulnerable save. Saved, saved, saved. It was a shock when you rolled a 1 or a 2. Hey all, hello Ben Shepherd, how you doing? Yeah, love building my army, but just never got up and played, and thank you Drew. And Drew says, have fun. So, obviously, your gaming experience is down to who you've got to play as well. I mean, I have a slight issue that I work at the weekends. I work both Saturday and Sunday. So all the gaming clubs around me, and there aren't many, they basically game at the weekend. So I'm working, so it's very difficult for me to go there. So I usually just play with my friends, and I got into the hobby with some work colleagues. So there was 2 people. So when I first started, I always played them. One had Imperial Guard, who I used to blast off the table so easily because my Gauss weapons used to glance all his tanks. I remember killing 4 tanks in 1 turn, on turn 1. And then my other buddy, he played Emperor's Children, which was an assault army, very hard hitting an assault. That was my first experience. And then at the time I was married to my first ex-wife, and her friend came round with her husband, and I was modelling. I was building my massive Necron tomb at the time, and yeah, he said, "Oh yeah, I used to do this. I've got like this a space crusade," and this is the guy that plays Man of War. So he said, "Yeah, I've got some Space Marines from Space Crusade." So basically, said, "Oh yeah, we'll have a game." So I got him into it again. I didn't really get him into it. I just like got him back into it, and then my work colleagues, for whatever reason, stopped playing, and I'm the only one now out of us that plays, even though they got me into the hobby. So I ended up playing my other colleague, and we got a couple of friends into it as well. So we had a little gaming group. We had Blood Angels and Orcs, which was my buddy's two armies. We had a Demon Hunter player, Grey Knight Demon Hunter player, and then we had a Space Marine player. There's a few of us. But that gradually dwindled down, and in the end it was just me and my Blood Angels buddy, as I call him. So for many years it was just us playing once a week. Oh, we had a Tau player as well. Our friend, he played Tau. Unfortunately, he passed away. So yeah, we had a Tau player as well. So yeah, so the point I'm making is, so that dwindled away. I played my Blood Angel player for quite some time, but sadly he's been ill, quite ill, recently, to the point that he's not going to get better. So I have played him a couple of times, but not to the same extent that I used to. Now, if it wasn't the fact that I met Richard, I wouldn't have anyone to game against, apart from maybe an occasional game that I get with a YouTuber. So, yeah, I mean, if I didn't have Richard, I would have no one to play. And that's a scary thought, really. Nick, could you give me a good 500-point list for the patrol detachment? I haven't played Patrol for such a long time, but when I did, I had some Scorpex, some Wraiths, a Technomancer, and then some Immortals on the backfield objective. So I think I had, off memory, I had 3 Scorpex, a bigger unit of Wraiths, a Technomancer, and then the Immortals. You have to work out the points, but I think that's what I was using. I'm in the same boat, Ben. I played once, I think, but I actually just really enjoy their model making, painting as a form of escapism. I think that's what it is, isn't it? You just lose yourself. You can just, even though it's like, it can be hard work, like doing all this, it's also, as you say, you just lose yourself. Like, hours go past and you don't think about all your troubles. You don't think about work tomorrow. You're just there. You're just doing your thing. Just finished a Knight Gallant. We'll need to base it still. About to move into the Warlord Titan. That will probably take 6+ months to do, as I really want to take my time. Big projects. They are fun. Definitely share the pics when they are done, Ben. Yeah, definitely. You can share it on my Facebook group if you're not there already. The IDICBeer's Wargamers Unification Facebook group. So I met Richard. Let's have a chat while we're talking about this subject. How did I meet Richard? Well, I went to a tournament, a local tournament, and I went with Ace Face from Twisted Dice, because I've played Ace a few times, and he encouraged me to go to my first tournament. So yeah, I went there, and I think it was the second round or maybe third round, I was going to play Richard. Richard had his Eldar at the time, nasty Eldar with some Forge World models in, and we were just about to play, and then they decided they'd messed up the draw, so it was redrawn, and I ended up playing some Space Wolves guy who absolutely annihilated me with all his psychic powers. So I didn't end up playing Richard. However, Richard was already following me, I think, on the YouTube channel. So he made a comment, that he was the guy that I nearly played at the tournament, and then we got chatting on Facebook, got to know each other, and arranged to play a game. And then it went from there, really. Now he's pretty much my one and only opponent, apart from, like I said, if I am able to sort of arrange games with someone. But it's hard when not everyone lives that close to you, because I'm not in a central position here in the UK. I'm right on the south coast, right at the bottom of the UK. Just you've got the Isle of Wight, and then you've got the basically Portsmouth right there. So yeah, I'm not a central position. Which, if you were more central, you've got the up and down area, but right on the bottom, you only got like this little up area. I was wondering where I could share them. I'll check out the Facebook. Cool. Yeah. You'll have to answer the questions, and then I'll approve you when I've finished the stream. I am an admin of a few Facebook groups. There's the Necrons 40k group, and then there's the Necrons Awakening group. It's amazing how many people who ask to join the group but then don't answer the question, or they answer the question with just like yes, even though it's not a yes or no answer. So I'm assuming they're just like spam accounts. I mean, there's this massive thing at the moment, isn't there, with those t-shirt people, where they join a group and then they just share links to t-shirts. It is like Warhammer based t-shirts, I admit, but it's still basically they're just there to sell stuff. So I think half of them are those. But yeah, you won't get approved if you don't answer the question, basically, in a sensible way. And if you don't know the answer, then just say that I don't actually know the answer. Like, I've only been into Necrons for like a couple of months or whatever, It's just trying to make sure that you're a real person, effectively. I'm not sure who's playing on the telly, on snooker on the telly today. I played snooker last night, and yeah, did well. I won 5-1, so a nice little win. So I haven't really had that much time. The last stream was on Friday, and then I had, Saturday was my birthday. Well, Friday night I set the table up for the Saturday, and then Saturday was the game. Richard came round about 9:30, and we finished about 3 o'clock. And then I started to edit the battle reports. And then in the evening I went out for a birthday meal, the family. And then Sunday was an early start, and then stock take. And to be fair, we got home quite early on Sunday. I was home about 2 o'clock. But I was absolutely knackered from just lack of sleep, I think. So I just chilled out and just watched some Star Trek. And then Saturday evening, I think I did some hobby. Obviously, I have done some of this. I showed you at the beginning. I've been doing it in the mornings before work, and a bit in the evening. Monday evening I did like 2-3 hours on it, and then yesterday was snooker again. So yeah, that's why I thought, right, get a crack on with it today. And again, whilst I've got the opportunity in the house to go live, which normally I wouldn't do, I thought I would do this. This also just helps motivate me, you know, keeps me going. And it's weird how gaming connections can come about, absolutely. Yes, I just met my friend's friend. Whoops, I meant he loves Space Marines and modelling. Go Necrons, how are you, Nick? Hello, Pete. I am very well, thank you. Yourself? I hope you're doing well. All settled in after the move. And have you painted those Necrons yet? What's others working on? I'm currently working through my Death Guard Termes at the moment. So yeah, let's find out. What are you all working on? Trying to work out what to have for dinner tonight. I can't quite decide. I'm assuming most of you have got a air fryer now, so all the rage, isn't it? The old air fryer. They are pretty good, although I did accidentally start a fire with mine the other day. Don't tell anyone. I used some. I cooked something in there, and I had it on a baking paper. And then I cooked it, and it was all fine. And then I forgot to take the baking paper out. And then the next time I went to cook something, I did the preheat. And then I noticed there was fire coming out of the drawer. So I opened the drawer, and of course the baking paper was in there still. And I don't think it was the paper that caught fire, because I've had that paper in there loads of times. I think it was the oil from what I'd cooked on the paper that caught fire. So yeah, it wasn't like a major thing. It was just like it burnt out very quickly. But it was a bit scary. So yeah, the smoke alarm came on, but luckily only the house one, not the main building one. Mind you, my fiance did set the main building one off at Christmas. I tell you, we made somebody very unhappy at Christmas. So obviously we live in some apartments, and it was Christmas. We were cooking the dinner. It was fine. You know what it's like. You can't stop smoke, can you, when you're cooking sometimes? So my fiance thought she would go next door and just say like Merry Christmas to them. But she left the front door open, so the natural smoke in the house went outside into the hallway and set the building alarm off. So the connoisseur bloke had to come out on Christmas at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon to sort out the alarms. I bet we really peed him off. I say we, it was nothing to do with me. See, I'm eager to get this tournament organised that I'm doing, but I can't do anything until 10th comes out, really. Work out what we're going to do. I'm still waiting to hear from a couple of people to see if they're going to come. 6+ Stevo's been very quiet. I've invited him. I've actually messaged him to see if he wanted a game on my birthday, but I didn't get no reply. So yeah, hopefully he's okay. He's still around because I see his posts on Facebook, and then he wished me happy birthday on my Facebook post, but he hasn't seen my message. Then hopefully Aceface will be able to make it this time. He was ill, sadly, last time round, but hopefully he's going to be around this time. I haven't heard from him yet. We've got, I'll tell you what, let's get the list if I can. Dominion War. Dominion War 23. Right, so we've got confirmed people coming. If I can find, where does it say who's coming on this group? 11 people, here we go. Okay, so we've got confirmed people. Richard, of course. We've got Darren from Twisted Dice. He's been to my last 2 events. He won my first one, came second to me on the second one. And then we've got Bill Morlock from Warzone 40k, Morlock 40k Warzone. Can never remember his channel name. Warzone Morlock 40k, I think. We've got Let's Make It Orky, who came last year, who I played in the first round against her Tyranids. We have Mr. Voldemort. And then we have Kevin from the Hobby Corner, who's in the chat at the moment. Big Mac Dan Skull, he is confirmed is coming. Then we've got Tom from Black Toad Studios, and hopefully Dom will be able to make it this time as well. And then we have Mr. Planets 40k himself, who is coming. And we've got one of Mr. Planet 40k's friends coming as well, one of his gaming buddies. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. We've got a couple of maybes. We've got Simply Warhammer, and I'm going to embarrass myself and not remember his channel name. Clint from the Orc channel called Essex Boys. That's the one. So that's who we've got so far. Good lineup, that's for sure. Alright, we've got some comments. Catch you later. Thank you for dropping in, Drew. I pretty much finished off my orcs, just a couple of characters to finish before I call them done. Since the new codex came out for Necrons, I've got a full squad of the new destroyers, the new destroyer lord, 2 heavy destroyers, 40 reapers, reaper warriors. Finally bought 3 of the locust lords and guard. Awesome. How you found painting them, Drew? Different than Cron, so I did try dry brushing some of my orcs to get a different texture feel for the shiny boys. I really enjoy painting orcs and orc skin. I think it's a fun army, and you can make them look pretty good with fairly simple paint job. Right, housework time. See you, Nick. See you later, Ben. Thanks for popping in. Yes, it's great to watch your tournaments. I can't wait to see them. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be looking probably at, I think I can just about squeeze 6 tables in there, but I might need some help with some terrain. But all the guys have got terrain and stuff anyway. So if we've got 12 people, I think I'm just about do 1 game each all at the same time. If we get beyond that, we might have to drop down in points and do smaller, quicker games. We'll just have to see how it goes. That's why I was thinking, oh, combat patrol maybe. The trouble is also that not everyone's going to have the models from the combat patrol, and I'm definitely not going to like ask people to build and paint a combat patrol box just for the mission, you know, just for the game. So we'll see how it goes. Either way, it's going to be fun. I am definitely going to have a timer for this one. So my very first one, I had no timer. It worked out really well. Then the second one got a little bit more serious and a few more people coming to it, and we had no timer, and it didn't work out very well. So we only played 2 games as opposed to 3, which everyone was fine about, and it was still just as enjoyable. But I think going forward, regardless whether it's going to be small 500-point games or 1,000-point games or 750, you know, whatever the game size is going to be, I'm going to have a time restriction so that I can give a definitive like time for each game and for the breaks and for the end time as well. Because 1 or 2 people that had to leave by a certain time, so they wouldn't have even been able to play the last game anyway. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. So I think let's just say it is 1,000 points. Let's just say we end up with 1,000-point games. Then I will start at 10 o'clock. No, was it 9:30 we started last time? I think it's 9:30. Starts at 9:30, and then have 2.5 hours to play the first game. So what's that? 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. That takes you to 12. Half an hour break. That takes you to 12:30. Next game, 12:30 for 2.5 hours. It's 12:30. 1:30, 2:30. That takes you to 3. Half an hour break. Next game, 3:30. 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. That takes you to 6, and that gives you, let's say, half an hour for presentation. So if we say finish at 6:30, and then hopefully people can plan around that. I think that sounds fairly sensible. Okay, I've got to sleep. Nice having a chat. Thank you. I appreciate you popping in. Yeah, have a good sleep. Dream about Necrons. Funny enough, I've been dreaming about Star Trek recently. I think it's because I'm watching a load of Star Trek. My fiance is currently away, so I've got the house to myself. Got the TV to myself. So I've been like watching loads of Star Trek. The Necron Girl. We've been watching Voyager. The last 2 nights I've been dreaming about Star Trek. No, not about 7 of 9. Not yet, anyway. I'm looking forward to the next episode of Picard. I'll be able to watch that tomorrow night. Thursdays is the night it goes up on the platform that I watch it on. Is it me? Am I just really slow at taking mold lines off? Or are you the same? Do you just take forever to take mold lines off? I know I'm talking and stuff, so I'm a bit slower than maybe I would normally be, but it still seems to take forever. It's probably no different than when I'm painting. Probably still similar sort of amount of work. But mold lines, I think it's just where they're just boring, aren't they? I'm going through classic Doctor Who. Awesome. I don't really watch the new Doctor Who's. When they relaunched it, I tried watching one and didn't really like it. But then, when you grow up with like Tom Baker and K9 and stuff, it's a different, as you say, different era. That to me was Doctor Who. I used to go back and watch some of the older Doctors, like especially when the films were on. But yeah, gotta love the old Doctor Who. Need to dash, go to work. Catch you later, Ben. Thanks for popping in. Mould lines do take me ages, and then I'll often miss a couple. Oh, you always miss one, don't you? It doesn't matter how careful you are. I find that doing it a bit like this in batches helps, so that you can have almost like a rhythm. So you start exactly the same place on each one and you rotate it round exactly the same each time you do it. That helps not miss them rather than just randomly picking up bits. You just get into that like rhythm. But even so, there's always one that you miss. How is your wife getting on with the books? Has got any more books coming up, Pete? I can be a bit hit and miss with mould lines depending on where they are, but to be fair, I built up my Ghost Arks fully first. You built them and then did the mould lines, yeah? There are some odd things that people do which, works for them, so fair enough, but things like painting on the sprue, I just do not get that at all. Just don't get that. It's like, but what about the mould lines? What about the joins? I just can't get my head around how that works, painting on the sprue. Next year is going to be Necron Girl's last year at school, exams, and the college, looking for a college and stuff. So yeah, whilst I've got two other kids, I never had to do any of that because they didn't live with me. My other two kids, they lived with my ex, so I've not experienced like this too much. Obviously, I still saw all my other kids, saw them twice a week, but I never had to do the going around colleges and stuff. Never did that. So yeah, be interesting. Hopefully, we can find somewhere fairly close, and then I won't have to do the massive journey I have to do at the moment for the school run. Miss G is in the middle of another book right now, but life has been doing that thing at the moment. Yeah, I can imagine. It's good though that she's still writing. Yeah, to see what I could skip, I painted them up like that too. I needed them to be game, so I had to shave time off. Yeah, I have done that in the past. If I particularly needed a unit, especially with Necrons, because it's like I'll just dry brush them silver and then use Tesseract Glow for the green, job done, knowing that I'm just going to probably strip them and repaint them. To be fair, you probably don't even need to strip them because dry brushing is not exactly thick paint, is it? I nearly did. There's this feature on YouTube where you can do a live stream, and then you can do either a premiere, well, basically like a premiere video, and then you can direct people from your live stream to the premiered video. It's a feature that they have. I nearly did that, but my video this afternoon is going up at 2:30, and I thought I probably wouldn't be on here till 2:30. Well, definitely not, because the snooker's on at 1:45, so my aim was to go a bit earlier. But yeah, it's an interesting feature. I don't think a hobby hangout would be the right video to do it with. Maybe if I was doing a different type of live stream video, it would work quite well. I still do my Necrons and More live stream, which is more of a show than just this. This is just a chill and chat, really. But yeah, I'll be doing that first Thursday of every month. So that is next Thursday, I believe. Hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do that. My fiance is coming back home on Sunday. So yeah, hopefully she doesn't have any other plans for me. She's just spending some time with our family in London, because obviously her dad passed away beginning of the year, so I probably started with the hardest one out of all of these. I think these aren't going to be too bad. So hopefully when these are out of the way, I'll speed up with the other stuff. And then all I've got to do is this box here, and I'm ready to do the magnetising stuff. Although I think I need to order some more magnets. I'm going to wait, work out what magnets exactly I need, and then order them. This is the biggest part. Get the mould lines off. So I've been watching that YouTube channel called Robot's Head. I don't know if you've seen it. In particular, some of the Star Wars videos that he's done, and I've enjoyed some of the Star Wars stuff which have come out. But then when you watch his videos, you see how flawed maybe they actually are. That's what I do like again about some of the older sort of Star Trek stuff, is compared to like today's TV, is where it's episodic, whatever it is. Basically each episode is an episode, it's by itself, so there's no sort of, you don't have to watch the next one, you just watch an episode. That's what I did the other day. I had like an hour to kill and I thought I'll just watch a Star Trek, and I could literally choose any episode that I like. And obviously not the newer stuff, I'm talking about the older stuff. Like for example, I watched one of the original series one. I thought I'll watch Journey on the Edge of Forever, I thought I'd just watch that. I just put it on, watched it. It's like, it's great. I really enjoyed it. I didn't have to worry about the cliffhangers or next episodes or whatever. I can just turn an episode on and just watch it. You don't really get that with today's TV now, do you? It's all about binge watching, and right, even like the current Star Trek, you know, obviously they've got to jump on the bandwagon. Even YouTube's about that, you know. It's about keeping people on the platform for as long as possible. They do any trick in the book to do it. I wonder what snippets we'll get from Games Workshop today on 10th edition. Gradually teasing us each day, aren't they? We're making the codex defunct. It doesn't mean they're worthless though. There's loads of fluff and stuff in there. So really, there's not actually that much fluff in there, not compared to the old books. Right, how many have we got left? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Oh, I'm over halfway. Not too bad, not too bad. What is the most difficult Necron model you've put together? I would say would be the Silent King, but not really the Silent King. The little Triarch men which sit next to him on the throne, those two dudes. They have the most weirdest design there is. The way they fit together. It's not just like a body and a torso and just glue them together. They've got like the head and the torso and like an arm and the leg, and they like intertwine with it's like a Chinese puzzle. That was probably one of the hardest ones that I've built. Probably the biggest project would be the Tesseract Vault, magnetising that, because that's a big model, and B, quite a tricky magnetising project. But I was quite happy that I achieved it. I certainly wouldn't want to do it again. That's probably why I've avoided doing these Ghost Arks and Doomsday Arks, because you know they are a bit of a mission, and I'm going to use my own tutorial to do them, because it's been such a long time ago since I've done them. That's the good thing. If I hadn't made that video, even I find that with a lot of stuff, like maybe when I'm painting something, I just watch one of my old videos. Oh, how did I paint that? I can't remember. You know, even though you have it written down in the book what paints you used, it doesn't necessarily tell you what technique you used, does it? So, did I dry brush that? Did I blend that? So I have this, I've got this new car of mine that doesn't have a CD player in. I'm old school, yeah. So I've got this USB stick, and I've put one of my print CDs on it. I've plugged it into the USB thing, and it says format not recognised. So anyone know what I'm doing wrong? I just inserted the audio disc into my computer, and then I copied it, pasted it onto the USB stick. So that's how I did it. I probably did it wrong. I remember in the old days when you used to like copy a DVD, a CD, you used to have to burn it, didn't you? So do I have to do that? I'm assuming that when it says the format's wrong, it means it probably has to be an MP4, and direct from the CD probably isn't an MP4 format. Yeah, if anyone's got any ideas. I put 2 on there. I put 1 in a folder, and I put 1 outside of a folder, and obviously it couldn't read either. Colin says, you actually did a fantastic magnetising guide for the Necron Ghost Ark. It was the only one worth following. Unfortunately, the magnets in my Ghost Ark have lost their power. Really? Lost the power? I've heard that if you don't actually have like magnets together, that they lose their power. But I've never had that happen to me. So maybe it's a type of magnets. Did you use those, the Neo magnets? Yeah, I've heard people say about that the magnets like lose their power unless they're actually magnetised to something. But I've never had that issue. So I'm wondering if it's a type of magnets. Did I miss your birthday Q&A, Pete? Because it was your birthday as well, wasn't it? Yours is one day after, I think, mine, or one day before. So happy birthday to you. But yeah, has your Q&A gone up yet? Oh, I can't believe I would have missed it. So I'm assuming it hasn't. Yes, there were yeah, I can never say it. Neo batteries. Batteries. Magnets. Wow, that is interesting. I've never had an issue of mine. Can't explain that. So I wonder what's on telly tomorrow night, because, well, The Apprentice is finished. I'm not sure about Dragon's Den. I'm thinking it might be finished as well. I think they might finish together. So I wonder what's going to be on instead. So I'm on the last episode of Voyager, and I'm wondering which Star Trek to watch next. I think it's going to be Deep Space Nine. I'm ready for that again. Yes, I know. I've read that comment. So yeah, my next video up later today. I had fun making those videos, bringing back some old memories. it all again as well once 10th edition comes out, with 3rd edition in 10th. Yeah, looking forward to the game on Friday. I think we're playing at Richard's house this time. Which does give us it's limited time because I have to drop Necron and get off at school first, which is half an hour from where I live, and then I've got to drive back and past my house onwards the other direction to Richard's house. So I usually get there, I don't know, about 9:15, 9:30, but then I have to leave at 2:30 to get back to the school. So by the time we set the models up, etc., it doesn't give us a huge amount of time to play. So that's why I don't tend to record too many dice rolls, just the ones maybe at the beginning, or a few key ones. I just physically don't have the time to do it. Thanks, Nick. I know it hasn't gone up yet. Work is just stupidly busy currently. I am without much free time. I'm actually working whilst listening to this, hoping I don't get called for a meeting. Okay, Pete, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's good to hear you busy at work again. Getting your life all on track, which is good. So, how are we doing here? 11:10. 11:10. Wow, nearly 2 hours already. Has anyone heard any rumours about 10th edition that hasn't been published yet as such, officially by GW? Any GC rumours at all? Do you remember when the Necrons had that leaked image of all the new units before we knew they were coming? That was exciting times. And then obviously GW then put the official post up earlier than expected. We got some really nice images of all the new miniatures. That was cool. I'd imagine that's how Tyranid players are feeling right now. Very exciting for them. Well, I'm a Tyranid player as well, but I'm not that active Tyranid player, let's say. What's your view on the return of the Lion? Yeah, well, I've never had the pleasure of playing against Gunnerman, but from what I heard when he first came out anyway, he was horrible to play against. So I just hope that the rules aren't silly for him. Obviously for the Dark Angels players, It's cool for them. We got our Necron Silent King, who didn't have particularly amazing rules. I mean, he's okay, you know, there's nothing wrong with him. I'm not a huge fan of the way he works the men hairs and stuff, because they go down so easily. I'd like it to have been, I don't know, maybe just one whole unit. Well, it is a whole unit, isn't it? But do you know what I mean? So the men hairs just die. Why not just have wounds coming off the whole thing? Rather, so the men hairs are there, but then they get, so that, you know, they're less effective rather than just disappearing. Another one done and dusted. Keep going, Nick, you can do it. Do you talk to yourself to motivate yourself like that? I always do. Like, come on, Nick, one more. Just one more. Just like motivate myself to do it. Yeah, the Lion's a more close combat guy over Gilly, going to have a different play style. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be the flavour of the month for sure, isn't it? Actually, Steve from Who Took My Dice, he's doing some hobby live streams now as well. However, I'm always asleep when he does them, so unfortunately I can't join in. But yeah, he's using them to motivate him to do his hobby. It does work well. It's just like sometimes me and my buddy, we used to get together, you know, just have a hobby night and just sit down and just you know, chat, do some hobby. That's basically what this stream is, really. It's nothing too heavy. Just do some hobby together. I have a few people still watching it after the stream, and they're going back and watching it, which is nice. And then these are never going to get thousands of views, you know. That's not what they're about. Ones with one leg are quicker. Don't drop the knife, Nick. Last time I dropped it, it went down into my foot. So I do have a bin full of sprues. If I can show you or not, I don't know. You can see that, there you go. I'm keeping these just in case I've left something on them. So hopefully not, but just in case, you never know. So I need to get some sponsors for my tournament as well, so I can get some prizes. So I'll be looking out for some sponsors. I had some good sponsors last time. Oh no, I went in a bit deep. It's okay. These are supposed to be reanimated warriors. Let me just give a little chip. There we go. He's got a chip in his leg, ready to be reanimated. So this was the first time we actually saw damaged and battle damaged and decayed warriors. Miniatures, obviously all the new stuff now, they have it quite a lot. But these were the first ones. Barge of the Dead. Going to Stover Core. Looks like with 10th, if all the rules for each army come out at the same time, there can't be codex creep. Well, they're going to, yes, but no, because they are going to introduce the codices, so that all the rules are going to come out so that everyone can play the game straight away, because they're basically saying the old codex is gone. But then they're going to introduce a codex for each faction, as they always do. So I think codex creep will still happen. Who do you think will win the big fight on Armageddon? The Lion King, the Lion, Angron, or Gazgul? I have not got a clue, but if I had to put my money on someone, I'd say Gaz, because he's just horrible. Did anything come from Games Workshop saying they were thinking about taking an old sprue? Taking in old sprues. I didn't hear that. Think about taking in old sprues. I think the Arks will end with the Marines on top in time for the Nids invasion. Yeah. How many books is there left? Is it 2? 2 Arks of Omen books. I think I've done this one. Look at this, getting there. 4 left. No, I never heard that about Games Workshop taking in old sprues. Like recycling thing, yeah? I suppose in this modern age, you know, where we're using plastic miniatures. you think they would redo a Necron character in 10th, who would you like to see get a refreshed model and rules? Okay, now I have a feeling that we may lose some Necron characters. I think they're going to, when we get our new book, they're going to refresh some of the miniatures from fine cast to plastic, but at the same time I've got a funny feeling we will drop some. I don't know which ones, but the miniature I would love to get some love would be Imitek the Stormlord, because he's one of my favourite characters. I really like him. So I'd like to see a new model and new rules for him. That would be pretty cool. If anyone deserves it, I think he does. I don't really, I mean, he's, sometimes I play Anraker. I have played a few of the characters before, but not often. But Imitek the Stormlord I played a lot when he came out, and he had some good rules. So I played him, he was pretty much in most of my armies. So yeah, I'd like to see him revamped. And obviously with Illuminor coming out, we were all hoping that we were going to get that same treatment with all the other miniatures, but that never happened. It just takes time, doesn't it? I mean, they've got so many armies and models to work on. It may have been a pilot scheme somewhere to see what the uptake was going to be. Yeah. I don't always bin my sprues. Sometimes I keep them because I make like Necron crystals from them, but I've already got a pile of sprues reserved for Necron crystals, so I don't really need any more. But yeah, if they could be recycled, I suppose that would be, well, be good, wouldn't it? Be good for the environment, carbon footprint and all that. I played most of the named HQs, but less and less as editions progressed. Yeah. Down to various things, isn't it? Obviously, the way the rule set has been with the dynasties and stuff, so they're almost locking some characters out, and then also the points. You know, they for quite some time they were just way overcosted. Because when Imitek came out, it wasn't. We didn't have the dynasties then. Imitek was just you could use with the army. That was it. And then obviously they then locked him into the Sautek dynasty when the dynasties came out. His lightning strikes were lots of fun. Every turn they worked as well, so you just have him on the table, usually at the back, sort of helping a unit like warriors or immortals on an objective, and then he would just do his lightning strikes. So at the beginning of each turn, every unit that was on the table, you rolled a dice, and on a 6, now I don't know what they did on a 6, I think they just took mortal wounds. I think it was D6 mortal wounds or D3 mortal wounds or something, and used to get that at the beginning of every turn whilst he was on the table. Oh, that's the other thing I think he did as well. Didn't he control night fights? If I remember rightly, yeah, that's right. So I had him in my Flayed One army, and I used to use him to have night fights on turn 1, which just gave you an extra turn of being able to move your Flayed Ones forward and get into position without being targeted easily. And then if the mission actually had night fight, then you could turn night fight off if you wanted to as well. So yeah, he had a bit of night fight control. It was always fun to play. Then they dumbed down his lightning thing to just like once per game on one unit, and then the points were rather expensive, let's say, and then you were locked into the dynasty, and yeah, not so usable, that's for sure. Now, in my previous video about the 3rd edition list, I didn't say anything wrong, but I didn't make it so clear what I was talking about. I was talking about Necrons not being very good basically in close combat, and I said about their leadership, but what I actually meant to say really was the sweeping advance rule, which is what I neglected to say in that video. So if you got a bit confused, yeah, they had good leadership. There was leadership 10, but they had an initiative to fight in those days, and they were initiative 2. The Lord was initiative 4. So if you were in close combat and it was initiative 2 against initiative 4, then obviously the 4 striked first and the 2 didn't. And then you had to take a leadership check on how many models you lost the combat by. So if I lost 10 warriors and you lost 2 space marines, because don't forget Necrons weren't very good in close combat, then it would be -8 leadership on your leadership. So if you failed your leadership test, then you had a roll off, and if you lost the roll off, you got what we call sweeping advance. Basically it means that you ran away, but your opponent caught you whilst you were running away, and then you just die, and the whole unit just dies, and that's the end of your units. And it was a killer for Necrons being swept. So we really didn't like to be in close combat. Oh, how times have changed. Sorry, got to go, being called MTG. No worries, Pete. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, with Solar Pulse. Yeah, that was it. Solar Pulse. Yeah, that was the night fight one, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, those were the days. And then I had my Harlequin army. I remember playing Harlequins. That was a fun army as well. They had the Veil of Tears. You couldn't be targeted over a certain distance. Then you had the Pathfinders. Put them in cover for a 2-up save. Then you had the Farseer next to them, giving them fortune. So they had a 2-up rerollable. Had some fun with the Eldar as well. Not an easy army to play though. Hello guys and girls. Hello Darktron69. How you doing? We are just chilling and taking mould lines off of Necrons. I'm building my 2 Ghost Arks at the moment. and having you guys here is keeping me sane whilst doing so. So how do you describe your hobby to people, like strangers? I had my hair cut the other day, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing this afternoon?" Obviously, in the morning I had my hair cut. He said, "What are you doing this afternoon?" And I just came out because I said, "Oh, I'm going live on YouTube." He goes, "Oh, YouTube, you know. Well, what's that about then?" And then you have to explain, don't you, like your hobby. So I always say, "Oh, it's miniature wargaming." I say, but it's science fiction, not historical. So it's tabletop wargaming. Yeah, that's it, miniature tabletop wargaming. And then I usually say it's like science fiction one rather than historical. And then I say, and then get their reaction. Sometimes they say, "Oh, well, Games Workshop, yeah, I used to do that." Or if they sort of look blankly at you, then you say, "Games Workshop, Warhammer." And then sometimes they get it, and then if they still don't get it, I end up just saying toy soldiers. But how about you? What do you say? Toy soldiers is my like classic one. Just like, yes, toy soldiers on tabletop. You build them, paint them, play with them, roll dice. All right. Okay, one left. I can have a stretch. Okay. Pretty much the same, but can be historical fantasy or board games. Yeah. I don't avoid telling people, you know. I do tell people what I do, what I enjoy doing. That's a good talking point, I think, as well. Tabletop gaming, a bit like chess, but a bit more intricate. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm happy today. My best friend gave me his whole army of Adeptus Sororitas. That's worth about $3,000. Just getting to 40k. I play a lot of AOS, so this is going to be my first army. Wow, that is awesome. Well done. Yet my first club was one I started in school. I never looked back. That is very generous. Is it painted? A painted army? How come they gave it to you? Are they getting out of their hobby, or they just don't play it anymore? I did buy my Tyranids from my friend at a really good price. I paid £100 for a massive box of Tyranids. None of them were like, well, some of them were half built, but they were basically like in bits. And paid them over 2 months, so £50 one month, £50 the other month. But this was back in, well, a very long time ago, so obviously that's worth, you know, more money these days, but still it was a bargain for the amount of models that I had in there. Finished. Look, that section anyway. Now I've got these, and these. That's all. Where are we? 20 to 12. I cannot believe it took me over 2 hours just to do that. 2 hours to scrape that little lot off. Now these should be a lot easier because it's basically just the 4 joining points. There's no actual mould lines on these. It is literally just where I've clipped it off of the sprue. So this should be a lot quicker. Hopefully. Of course, there's always the promise of it being quicker, but not actually being quicker. No, he had like 5 armies, but some model in Adaptus Zoritis are painted. I got lots of my crons by buying 2 of my club mates' cron armies. That's cool. I've never sold an army before. I've sold 1 miniature in my whole life. That's it. One of my miniatures, and that was a Demon Prince I sold. It was the old metal one. And what happened was my opponent that I used to play against, he used to play Demon Hunters. And in the back of the Demon Hunted Codex were rules for your opponent to basically have demons. So you could effectively change into demons. I can't remember the exact mechanics of it, but basically my Space Wolves army had the ability, when I played his army, to change into demons. So my Wolf Lord could change into a Demon Prince. So I got a Demon Prince model and I put a wolf head on it. I had that for my army. I never painted it. We used to play with unpainted them because, you know, we were all new to the hobby, and, you know, none of us had all of the armies painted. So yeah, I had that, and then I bought 10. I don't know which models they were, but demon wolves basically, and the ones that look like wolves but they're demons. And I painted those up. I did actually paint those, and then I used to have my Fenrisian wolves turn into these demons on the rules on the back of his codex. However, those rules all disappeared and it became defunct. I kept the wolves because I thought it would match the 13th Company fluff quite well, that the wolves are sort of more feral. But I didn't keep the Demon Prince because I just couldn't use him. So I sold him to my buddy who had a Demon Chaos army, Chaos Demons army. I sold it to him, and that's the only miniature I've ever sold. Yeah. Hello, Nate's Miniature. How you doing? Nice to see you here. We are currently taking mould lines off of warriors from the Ghost Arks. That is my task. I've just done all of the legs. So I'm on the top halves Yeah, not bad. Good to hear. Only figures I've sold off were some of my bugs from Starship Troopers. He wanted to use them as Neds. I did see that game. It looked really cool. I don't know what the play mechanics were, but yeah, quite liked the look of that game. There was also a Terminator game, wasn't there? But I never got to play that either. Don't really do board games. My friend's got a game called Munchkin. Don't know if you guys have heard of it or played it. Played it a couple of times. I wasn't a huge fan. I think they do a 40k Munchkin, don't they? If I remember rightly. There is actually a 40k board. I think the only model I have sold was the Games Day Special Wolf Chaplain, or whenever it was called. Yes, that was the Wolf Priest, wasn't it? I went to that Games Day. I was there. That's the only Games Day I went to. However, I wasn't playing Space Wolves that time, so I didn't buy the limited edition model, but my buddy did, and in the end, I bought it from him. So I do have one of those miniatures, and I was at that Games Day, but I didn't actually buy it at the Games Day. But that's when I bought my Necron Pylon. I think that must have been what, 2002, off memory. I remember the programme had an Imperial Guard on the front cover. It was a great set of rules, but short-lived due to only 3 factions, with only 2 of them being flashed out. Right, yeah, quite limited, I suppose. Munchkin is great, so many mixed IPs in there. Yeah, the Wolf Priest. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, I've got that. I've even painted it. I think. Have I painted that one? I know I painted quite a number of my Space Wolf characters. I think I painted that one. The last time I played my Space Wolves was for a Horus Heresy game. So I played Horus Heresy with Ace Face when it was 7th edition. I think 40k was 8th edition, and we played Horus Heresy 7th edition rules. I've only played it once, Horus Heresy. But yeah, I used my Space Wolves then. That's the last time I played them, so that was a long time ago. But if the rules are free now to download, then I might be tempted to play some of my other older armies, because I won't have to invest money to play them. Okay, well, I'm guessing through these quicker, that's for sure. Auntie's been ill recently. She She's quite old, 80, early 80s, and she's got diabetes, but she's starting to lose her eyesight, so I think she's lost one already, and the other one's like going, and then she had like a bleed behind the eye, and they're not sure because she had a stroke a few years ago. They're not sure what's going on basically, so she's currently in hospital having a load of tests done. So yeah, old age gets to us all, but you don't have to be old, do you, to have problems? My snooker buddy, I found out yesterday, he's 2 years older than me, so he's 53, and he's got terminal cancer. They've given him 9 months to live. It's like, you just don't know when your time's up, do you? Do not know. I did remember the old Canoptic Spider in metal and Necron Destroyer in metal. Yeah, I've got all of my Canoptic Spiders in metal. I've got 6 of them. I haven't got one of the new ones. The Necron Destroyer, as in the deck chair one, yeah? Yeah, I've got some of those as well. Necron was going to be my first army, this is like back in 2011. I always get confused with the timing of everything. It wasn't that, was that 5th edition? 2011? Get these done, get the other half done, and then probably glue them together actually. Have a break from scraping mould lines off, just glue these together before I work on those pieces. Yeah, it's crazy how time flies. It goes past so quick, you're right. Right, another one done. Another one done. Let's have a look how we're doing. We have 8 viewers apparently watching at the moment. 121 views in total. The average view duration is 8 minutes 48 seconds. There you go. Some stats from what I can see from the stream. Thank you everyone for joining in. I appreciate obviously that lots of people are going to be excuse me, at work, or just pop in for a little bit, and then maybe some of you are literally hobbying with me. Some people just about to go to bed, some people just about to wake up. I have a question. What do you think about Leagues of Vossa and Army? My friend hates playing against it. I'll be honest with you, I have no experience. I've never played against it. I've never really seen them in action. So it's very hard for me to say, to like give a view. I've heard that they're pretty decent, but that's about it. Unfortunately, so not a very interesting answer, I'm afraid. I'm going to be playing snooker with my daughter's, well, he's a boyfriend at the moment, but they've been together for quite some time. They live together and everything, so not Necrons, this is my eldest daughter. So he seems to be getting into snooker, so that's pretty cool. So we've played a few times. We're going to have another game over the Easter weekend. It's always good when you can find people who, you know, you have a hobby that you can share, but someone who you're close to as well. My phone has just gone off. Not quite sure what it is. Make sure it's not work. No, it's Necron Girl at school. I need more pens running out. Okay. I'll get some. There you go. I'll have to get some pens. You always get like the random thing, don't you, with the kids? Like, my shoes have just fallen apart, and my coat's got a hole in it. Not versed them yet. What makes them hard to deal with for you and your mate? Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear that. I'm just painting my endless spell for my Disciplines of the Zench army. Awesome. That's those little miniatures, yeah? I know which ones they are, yeah. Funny shaped ones that are supposed to represent spells. I wonder how urgent this pen situation is, whether I've got to get some today or over the next couple of days. She's only got 2 days left of school after today anyway. I'll probably pick her up and then ask her, and then if she needs them today we'll pop into the shop and get them. There we go, whizzing through these, look. I love AOS, it's a lot of fun. Now, I played it once, a long time ago. How different is it from 40k? I mean, when I played AOS, we were playing 7th edition 40k, and 40k was effectively moving to more AOS based rules. But I mean, what's it like now? How different is it? My stomach is rumbling. You can probably even hear it on the microphone, it's so loud. See you later. Thanks very much for popping in. Appreciate that. Where are we? 12 o'clock. 9:30, yeah? 10:30, 11:30. Wow, 2.5 hours. Okay, well, we'll do another little bit and see how we get on. At this stage I usually start to run out of things to say, so I tend to rely on any comments and what I get, feedback from you guys. That's okay, I don't have to be talking like for 3 hours non-stop. You probably wouldn't like that anyways. Sometimes you just need a little breather, bit of concentration on what you're doing. Still waiting for it to really warm up. The sun was out a couple of days ago. I thought, oh, this is really nice. But then the next day, it's freezing. The weather is just all over the place. Typical English, let's just talk about the weather. EOS is a little less complicated. Like in 40k, they have a lot of stuff, complex stuff in their codex for each army, like stratagems, etc. Okay. It'll be interesting to see how this the old world all pans out when that finally comes out. I just noticed there's a mould line on that side on this one, so I might have to go back to all the others and just check that. So I'll put this one here. These I've done the sides. I'll go back through that pot and just double check the sides. Just to be on the safe side. That's why Games Workshop tried to make 40k 10th edition like EOS. Yeah. I suppose from their point of view it'd be easier just to have exactly the same rule set for the two games, so the only difference is their model range. Right, now this one has very faint line on the side, so I think I'm definitely going to have to go through the others. Finish these first and do that. See, Commaser Gamser came back with a video about 10th. I don't think he's put any more up. It's been quite some time since he put a video up. He does that though, doesn't he? Puts loads of videos up and then he has like a big break. Then he comes back and puts a load more videos up. Hello, Daka Flacker Flame, how you doing? For example, look at World Eater's Codex, a little bit more easier to understand the Codex. I haven't seen it, to be fair, but it's interesting. Come back. Your fingers start to go numb, don't they, after a while of holding plastic? Because you hold it quite tight when you're actually doing, you know, what you're doing, because you want it to not move. So you hold it quite tight and it digs into your fingers. Especially if you're holding something fairly spiky. Getting there. 3 more. 3 more. I'm doing well, just having a bit of a bourbon and finishing an orc before bed. Very nice. Very nice. I'm at that stage now in the stream where I've said a lot and run out, basically, of stuff to say. However, I want to get this done. So we are just here chilling, chatting. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, then feel free. If you'd like me to talk about a particular topic, I would advise not asking too many fluffy questions, because that's not my bag. Not really into fluff. Thinking about getting a second webcam so that I can make that small image. The small image you can see is from my laptop webcam, and the big image is from my Logitech. I've got a C920. So I'm thinking about getting a second HD webcam just to improve the quality a little bit. I do like my friend's Grey Knight's army. I saw him play his army at a tournament. Oh yeah, Grey Knights, I've played against them quite a lot in the past with my buddy, but not recently. I don't know what they're like now, but they used to be like very slow moving, but just very difficult to kill as well, like all Terminators and stuff. That is Necron. Talking about these pens, no doubt. Thank you. There you go. It's amazing, yeah, allowed the phones now in the schools. They use them quite a lot in the lessons and stuff, don't they? I haven't played Grey Knight since 4th edition. Maybe they were Demon Hunters. Yes, they were Demon Hunters back then, the Demon Hunter Codex. Yeah, that's correct. You used to ally them, didn't you, with Sisters of Battle, I think, if I remember rightly. Don't hear too much about Sisters of Battle, do you? Or whatever their new name is. I don't know how well they're performing, but it's not an army I really hear anyone talk about. Right, last one. Now I need to just go back to all those others and do those side pieces, because I think I forgot to do them. So let's empty these out. Put these pieces back. So it should be 20, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'll just wait there. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. Always paranoid of losing a piece. Which is okay, if you drop something or lose something, you usually can find it if you know you've just done it. It's when it's like a week later and you realise you lost a bit, it's like very hard to find it, probably in the vacuum cleaner. I still haven't seen the new Sisters in person, just pictures on the internet. Yeah, no, I've never seen them in person, the new Sisters. There's a lot of hype for that army though, wasn't there? But I don't know how popular it's been for them. Right, get these done, and then I can work on the front half and glue them together. Yay! Just starting to work out this chair I'm sitting on isn't actually that comfy. I have a numb bum. Right, that's them. So now, let's do these. Sisters were Ordo Hereticus, or Witch Hunters. There was a story in 5th edition where the Grey Knights slaughtered the sisters and used their blood for warding. Okay. Yeah, that does remind me of that. Yeah, witch hunters. All I know is he had Grey Knights. He definitely had the demon hunter army, and he was allied with, or used to have like Sisters of Battle in with the army. So I assume that was allies. It's such a long time ago though now. Right, let's gauge how long these fronts are going to take. What the actual mould lines like. Yeah, okay, so we've got mould lines going down the arms. So arms and shoulders effectively. And that's it. So not too bad. Shouldn't take too long hopefully. Let's put that in there. All the backs are the same, but obviously the fronts are different. Well, there's a few different versions. He has no arm. He's got a scarab instead. Morning all. Good morning, F&S Hobby Studios. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. How's your son doing? Doing alright? Is he enjoying it still? We are currently scraping mould lines off. The warriors in the Ghost Ark box. This looks like it's an easy one. Yeah, nice quick one. Come on then, we can do this. Yes, he is. Excellent, that's good to hear. Gone deathly quiet. I think I've run out of things to say now. My stomach is telling me I'm incredibly hungry. Another one down. I think I'm probably going to just stay live until I finish these here, and then probably call it quits. This is an opportunity if you'd want to ask me any questions to do so. Usually when I hobby, obviously I'm not talking, so it's quite unusual to be talking constantly whilst you're doing your hobby. What do you guess they'll do about terrain in 10th edition? How do you feel about 10th edition drop? Okay, so I'm really excited about 10th edition. I wasn't at first. It's like, no, why? We don't need it yet. But now it's coming. We know it's coming. And from the tidbits that we've heard so far, it sounds pretty decent. Sounds like it's going in a good direction. So, yeah, I'm excited. And the fact that we can hopefully play all of our armies without having to buy anything, at first anyway, is good. So, yeah, lots of positives there, I think. In terms of terrain, well, that's an interesting one. I've seen the terrain change over the years so much. I think my favourite one's been like just line of sight. You just look down, and if you're covered by terrain, you get a cover save. You know, terrain is almost, I think, the most complicated it's been since the beginning of time. One of the best ones I think was when we had sizes for the terrain, but the trouble with that is it wasn't very thematic. So you had like size 1, 2 and 3 miniatures. So if you were a size 3 miniature and you were shooting over a size 1 piece of terrain, so you're being shot at over a piece of terrain, you didn't get a save because you were 2 above it. But if it was a size 2 piece of terrain and you were a size 3 miniature, then you got a save. And basically that's how it worked. And me and my buddy always thought it was the best system. The only addition I would make is I think there should have been a size 4. So if, you know, where like bigger units, like for example the monolith, you know, would be a size 4. But the issue was it wasn't very thematic because you could have pieces of terrain giving you, that doesn't need to go in there, giving you saves when it in reality shouldn't physically, you know, from the looks side of things it didn't really work. Where did that go? There it is. So yeah, what will they do in the future? I don't know. I think it does depend on the game itself. And the reason why we've got all this like obscuring terrain and stuff is basically because the game's so powerful. You know, the guns are so powerful, doing so much damage that you've got to have line of sight blocking terrain. Then they want to make it more assaulty, so you know that's what the terrain is there for as well, to help assault units get in. If the game goes more tank orientated, like I was suggesting earlier, then maybe they the terrain will be totally different again, you know, to suit that style of army. So difficult to say. I'm sure they'll let us know in a post at some point. It would be nice to have a game that isn't heavily reliant upon terrain in those first turns, because it makes a huge difference, the terrain. I saw some of those tables at the recent Adapticon, and I don't know, some of them weren't that great in terms of terrain. It must be hard though to do terrain for so many tables. I think they did. Did they do player placement as well, terrain? What do you think would be a good narrative Necron game scenario? I always like the idea of an awakening tomb. So I quite like the idea of basically the Necrons aren't there on the table, so you don't deploy your army. Maybe you deploy hidden counters, so you have some counters and you write down, you know, which counter represents which unit, and they're on the table, you know, hidden in tombs and stuff. And then they gradually awaken, maybe on dice rolls or something. So your opponent doesn't know where the units are going to come from. Quite like that sort of scenario. A hidden, an awakening tomb world. Yeah. I have played games in the past where some random things happen, like a proper game, and then we just add a little thing in there. Just for fun. Not so much since I've been playing Richard. That's been more sort of match play stuff, but me and my buddy used to do that quite often. That sounds like it would be fun. Yeah, I think so. That's how I always envision the Necrons, you know, they're just asleep on their tomb world, and then an invading force comes to the planet and awaken the Necrons, and then they rise up and basically try to defend their land. There is a mission in the 3rd edition codex at the back, a Necron mission. It's like I think it's in a tomb. It's in like I think it's a spaceship, if I remember rightly. It's been ages since I played it. There is one mission anyway that's a spaceship. So effectively the terrain is from floor to ceiling, so you can't shoot over it or go over it, you've got to go around it. That may be another mission I'm thinking of, rather than the one in the back of the codex. Those Codex missions, though, they were rather one-sided to the army in the Codex. There was a Blood Angels one in the Blood Angels Codex, which I don't think I ever won. I don't think my buddy ever won the Necron one in the Necron Codex. We used to always play them, but yeah, they're a bit one-sided. But it's just for fun, isn't it? So. That's the thing with custom missions, that's what they are. They're custom missions to be, thematic, etc. It's not like a match play mission, is it? It's a custom fun mission. Set the scene. Actually, it reminds me, I think we played, this was a very long time ago. We played a game where one side had one unit only and the other side had their like normal list, like a 2,000 point list, but the person that had the one unit had every single universal special rule, every single rule in 40k basically they had. They had a 2+ invulnerable save that was re-rollable, I think we played that once. I'm surprised I can't remember it that much. Maybe we didn't play it. Maybe we thought about playing it. Ah, yes, we didn't play it. We thought about playing it. We came up with the idea, but we never got around to playing it. That's why I can't remember the game. Only the idea. Gradually getting through these. Look at that, 2, 4, 6, only 8 left. The 3rd edition mission is Tomb Raid. The Necrons are in reserve and you roll a dice to decide which board edge they appear from. Right, yeah, that sounds familiar. It must have been a different mission I was thinking of than where you're in like basically on a spaceship. So each, as I said, the terrain basically represents the partitions on the ship, so you can't go through them or anything, you have to go around. So that was a different mission. If I remember the Necron one, you had to get an artifact, didn't you? Because I think I made a marker for the artifact. To keep hold of it or something. Talking of markers, when Richard and I played that 3rd edition game, we played the rescue mission, as I said, and I can't find my rescue markers that I've made. I made these really cool markers. They were like almost like Auspex scanner blips. I painted them and I can't find them, so I must have got lost in the move. Can't believe that I would have binned them, so I must have them somewhere, but I just can't Can't seem to find them anywhere. So I had to make some more up. Space Hulk Necrons game. Yeah, I don't think it was Space Hulk. It was just a mission. It may have been a mission that my buddy made up, because he used to make missions up quite often. I hope I get more games in with 10th when 10th comes. I've just played open play games in 9th. Right, yeah. So, open play is fun. We've done a few games of open play. But yeah, I mean, match play is real 40k, isn't it? I suppose as such. And in the new world, match play is like the ultimate 40k. It's all depending on your gaming group, really. What they play really dictates what you can play, what you do. Come on. 5 left. Hey. Let's do it, do it, do it. Four left. Oh, oh, oh. Getting to the point now where I think, I probably could do with a break now. My bum is numb. Could probably do with a bit of a stretch. I feel I've done fairly well though, even though it's taken me, well, nearly 3 hours. Scraped a reasonable amount of mould lines off. I'm going to reward myself by gluing these two together before I work on that, because gluing is a little bit more fun than scraping mould lines off. the snooker is going to be on. Well, it starts at 1:45, but usually it's just the introduction, and they probably don't start playing till 1, so that means this is my longest live stream ever today. I've done 3 hours before. We are now, what, 3 hours and 15 minutes. And just a reminder, if you hadn't tuned in earlier, that I do have a battle report, not battle report, a list video today going up at 2:30, so that will be the 3rd edition list, and then on Friday will be the battle report, the 3rd edition battle report. So fun videos coming up. And I've got my Locust destroyers, they're painting videos and showcase videos coming up as well. I've taken a break from making videos to do some hobby, so yeah. One more. Do you prefer building or painting? I think I prefer painting. I think, yeah. Depends. I like both, and it's good to have a change. I wouldn't want to paint all the time. I wouldn't want to build all the time. Having the mixture. I mean, this is definitely like one of the worst jobs, taking mould lines off. But in terms of like building, it can be fun sometimes, especially if you're sort of converting and kit bashing. I enjoy that, but painting is very rewarding right at the end. When you've got it painted, that's the most rewarding bit. Feels good. Ta-da! Right. Definitely gonna have to hoover up at some point. Right, okay, let's glue these together. Before we do that, I'm going to check the instruction book to make sure I am correct saying that you just glue them onto there, because I think these bodies are all the same. If I can find the bit that tells me about them. I missed it. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, all the backs are 66. General Order 66. Okay, so we can literally just glue them. That's cool. I enjoy building as long as I don't have to follow instructions. That's one of the main things I don't like about more recent kits, even though they look really cool. Yeah, some instructions are a bit dodgy, aren't they? Let's have a quick look how these go together. Okay, so just that back bit. There you go, it's easy enough. One. So this is fun. This is fun. I would say it's perfect timing. By the time I've glued these, the snooker should be on. I have no idea who's playing though. It's the Tour champion, so Addy Carter lost last night. He wasn't very happy, was he? Did you see the interview? Probably not. I don't know if any of you watched snooker. But he wasn't in a very happy mood. Oh, this is nice and quick and simple. So once this is done, then I need to scrape the mould lines off of all of those spine things. Got the heads to do of these guys. And then there's like a side piece which goes onto here where they attach to the Ghost Ark. And then I think I'll be almost ready to start magnetising. I'm not sure what snooker is. Is it like pool? Yeah, it's similar to pool. It's on a bigger table, so the table is 12 foot by 6 foot. It's a quite big table, and it consists of 15 reds and then 6 different colours. But basically, yeah, it's a table sport, very similar to pool, but different rules effectively on a bigger table. And the pockets are smaller. I'd imagine you don't get snooker on the telly much in America, so I don't think it's that popular in America. I do watch pool. I'm subscribed to the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel, so I do watch some of the American pool. There's quite a few different games though, pool, isn't there? 9-ball I think is the most popular one, rather than straight pool. Even the English pool is different once again to the American pool. We have the reds and yellows, a bit like your spots and stripes. And one person is the yellow, one person is the red. And even the tables are different. Excuse me, even the tables are different. And the UK pool, they're smaller. I think the table's a bit smaller as well. starting to take shape now, these. Nope, wrong side. Three lefts. Good night. My orc is varnished, my brushes are washed, and my bourbon is drunk. Time for me to get to bed. Have a good sleep. Thank you very much for joining in. I appreciate that. Nearly lost it. Nearly went in the bin with all those sprues. Right, before they dry, I'm just going to check each one and also count them as well, so make sure they're glued together okay. So, 1, put them in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and this one has come out. I'm going to hold this one because it keeps coming out. 20, I'll have 20 anyway. Right, there we go. We are perfect timing for me to stop streaming and watch the snooker. I will have a break and I'll probably come back to scraping up these and the rest of the stuff later on. I really appreciate everyone joining me for this little hobby session. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.